Here's a roundup of 15 forgotten sitcoms that are secretly the best, but maybe aren't on TV 10 times a day anymore. We really enjoyed rewatching some of our favorites, plus I found out a bunch of cool stuff about these shows. I mean, you'll never believe who brought his own grill to the set, or what famous set piece you can still ride on even today. So sit back, relax, and here are 15 forgotten sitcoms that are secretly the best.
Oh, come on, just go get my purse. Come on, guys.
Number 1, Evening Shade. Now here's a show that made small-town Arkansas feel like the center of the universe. Evening Shade had Burt Reynolds playing a washed-up football player turned high school coach. You know, think Friday Night Lights, but with less angst and more dad jokes. Audiences loved the charm of this tight-knit community where everyone's business was everyone else's business. But here's the kicker. Burt Reynolds, Hollywood's ultimate heartthrob, almost said no to the gig. After a glittering movie career, TV just didn't seem like his thing anymore. I mean, yes, that's where he started, of course, on Gunsmoke. But now he'd already charmed the socks off America in Smokey and the Bandit.
Well, what are we gonna do when we get home?
Go to bed.
So why go back to the small screen? Well, enter creator Linda Bloodworth Thomason, who wrote the role practically tailor-made for Burt. And he didn't just bring star power, he brought his own grill. Yep, between takes he'd fire up the barbecue. Imagine craft services with ribs, cooked by Bandit himself. And Burt wasn't just the king of the barbecue on the set, he also made it his mission to prank his co-stars relentlessly. Rumor has it he once swapped out Mary Lou Henner's script with a page full of absolutely absurd, cheesy pickup lines just to see if she'd read them on camera. And speaking of quirky, Michael Jeter reportedly kept a stash of whoopee cushions on set, cementing his role as the unofficial mischief maker of Evening Shade. Where are they now? Well, Burt Reynolds continued to act, but his post-Evening Shade years were a roller coaster of hits, Boogie Nights anyone, and personal struggles. Mary Lou Henner, his on-screen wife, became a wellness guru with her own books. And Michael Jeter, who played the quirky teacher Herman, he went on to win an Emmy for Picket Fences, before tragically passing away in 2003. But the legacy of Evening Shade, it lives on, proving that good Southern cooking and good Southern TV, well, they never go out of style. So, do you even remember Evening Shade? Does anyone know if they do play reruns? Cause I'd love to get back into it. Anywho, you know what to do. Sound off in the comments section and let us know. Number 2, Mama's Family. If there's one thing Midwesterners know, it's that every family has a mama. Loud, opinionated, and totally in charge. And Mama's Family captured that dynamic perfectly, with Vicki Lawrence playing Thelma Harper, the matriarch who did not mince words. It was small-town chaos at its best, with plenty of laughs to boot. And while the show leaned into slapstick and sass, its secret sauce, if you will, was how it balanced hilarity with relatable family drama. Whether it was a holiday meltdown or a neighbor's nosy antics, it hit close to home for viewers across the country. But did you know Vicki Lawrence was way younger than the role she was playing? When the show began, she was just 34 years old. The secret? Well, a frumpy wig, a house coat, and her voice that could scare off a telemarketer.
Well, good Lord, there goes my appetite.
And here's another twist. After the show's original run was canceled by NBC, it was resurrected in syndication and found even greater success. Turns out more quirk and less polish was exactly what audiences wanted. So where are they now? Well, Vicki Lawrence went on to have a successful career in comedy and even hosted her own talk show. She also became a spokesperson for chronic idiopathic urticaria, which is fancy talk for hives. And she's spoken openly about her own journey with the condition. Now, Ken Berry, who played Mama's son Vent, continued acting in guest roles until he retired and spent his later years teaching young performers the art of musical comedy. I think everyone knows what happened to Rue McClanahan, who played Fran, because of course she went on to the Golden Girls as Blanche. But she also co-wrote a memoir filled with juicy behind-the-scenes stories, cementing her legacy as both a Hollywood icon and a Southern firecracker. Number 3, Green Acres. Green Acres was the ultimate fish-out-of-water comedy, where a rich New York lawyer and his glamorous wife traded the big city for a farm that was more mess than miracle. But audiences loved the absurdity, from a pig named Arnold who acted like a human, to neighbors who seemed to defy logic.
All right, now who did that?
The show thrived on its unapologetically surreal humor, breaking the fourth wall before it was cool, and delivering punchlines that felt like fever dreams. And fun fact, the show's theme song was so catchy that it became a chart-topping novelty hit, proving that even theme music could be part of the absurdist fun. Behind the scenes, life imitated art. Eddie Albert, who played Oliver, adored the outdoors and was all about sustainable farming, long before it was trendy. Meanwhile, Ava Gabor, who played Lisa, could not stand anything remotely rustic. She once said, quote, "The only thing I know about chickens is how to order them in a restaurant." And that mismatch wasn't just comedy gold, it was real life playing on set, or on the TV set. So what happened after Green Acres? Well, Eddie Albert continued to act, and he also became an environmental advocate. He used his Hollywood platform to champion eco-conscious living, long before it became, mainstream. Eddie passed away in 2005 at the age of 99, but he left behind a legacy of both an actor and a pioneer in green living. Ava Gabor stayed fabulous, of course, until her passing back in 1999. But Ava left behind a legacy of charm, wit, and mink coats, and she reportedly still refused to camp, even for charity. But hey, I know what you're asking. What about Arnold the pig? Well, several pigs actually played Arnold, because apparently fame gets to them, and they outgrow their cuteness. One of the Arnolds retired to a cozy farm in California, but rumor has it he was spotted once at a county fair, still hamming it up for the crowds. Number 4, The Andy Griffith Show. Few shows capture the heart of small-town America like The Andy Griffith Show. Sheriff Andy Taylor was the wise, steady hand that kept Mayberry running, while Barney Five's antics brought the laughs. It was a simpler time, bottled up for your TV screen, complete with front porch wisdom and pie-eating contests. The show's charm also lay in its unforgettable supporting cast. Characters like Aunt Bee and Otis the town drunk, they added layers of humor and heart. And here's a wild fact, the show didn't just make Mayberry feel real, it made it feel timeless. There wasn't a single calendar or date mentioned in the entire series, keeping it forever now. Evergreen. Don Knotts, who played Barney, wasn't even supposed to stick around. He thought the show would be a one-and-done season, but audiences loved him so much that Andy Griffith begged him to stay. And their chemistry wasn't just for the cameras. Andy and Don were real-life best friends. They'd crack each other up so much during filming that many scenes had to be reshot because they couldn't keep a straight face. Talk about bloopers that I really want to see. So where are they now? Well, Andy Griffith went on to have a very long career, including a memorable turn in Matlock, where he proved Southern charm ages like fine wine. Don Knotts stayed a comedy legend. He appeared in films like The Apple Dumpling Gang and, of course, the show Three's Company, where he somehow managed to make leisure suits look hilarious. And Ron Howard, well, he retired after The Andy Griffith Show. Oh wait, that's way wrong. He didn't just leave Mayberry behind, he launched into Hollywood orbit. He directed classics like Apollo 13 and A Beautiful Mind. Turns out Little Opie traded fishing poles for Oscars, but you can bet he still knows how to whistle that iconic tune. Number 5, Petticoat Junction.
Doing everything for a reason. Now sit down and I'll explain.
If you like your sitcoms with a side of Americana, Petticoat Junction was just the ticket. Set in the fictional Hooterville, it followed the quirky family running the Shady Rest Hotel. It was like stopping by your favorite roadside diner. It was fun, it was charming, and a bit kooky. What made the show truly unique was its focus on three sisters, Billy Jo, Bobby Jo, and Betty Jo, who managed to be relatable, funny, and the heart of the story. But we can't forget the family dog, Higgins, who went on to become a real star of Benji.
Darling, your kisses are getting better every day.
Proving that even pets in Hooterville were destined for big things. Little behind-the-scenes twist, the show's creator Paul Henning based it on his aunt's real-life hotel back in Missouri. And what I love about it is the show shared the same universe with Green Acres and also Beverly Hillbillies, making it one of TV's first crossovers. Oh, and the train that appeared in nearly every episode, well, it is still around, and it now operates as a tourist attraction. Talk about riding the rails of nostalgia. So what happened after the train stopped? Well, most of the cast faded into quieter lives. But Meredith McRae, who played Billy Joe, became a prominent women's rights advocate and a TV journalist before her untimely passing in 2000. Laurie Saunders, another Billy Joe, retired from acting and is now an artist, creating vibrant works that reflect her love of nature. Now Frank Cady, who played the storekeeper Sam Drucker, became a cult favorite for his appearances in multiple Hooterville shows, and he enjoyed a long retirement before his passing in 2012. And Hooterville, well, it lives on in our hearts, and reruns, and every roadside hotel that wishes it had a pet train. Number 6, The Torkelsons.
People say God looks out for the working man.
This heartwarming Oklahoma-based sitcom focused on a single mom raising her kids in a creaky house. It had humor, it had heart, and charm that felt both real and very, very relatable.
Simple hospitality and a casual howdy-do.
Especially if you've ever lived through hard times with a smile on your face, this show was for you. What really made the Torkelsons special was its down-to-earth storytelling and lovable characters, especially Dorothy Jane, whose diary-like narration gave the show its signature voice. And let's not forget the quirky neighbors and small-town charm that made every episode feel like a warm hug from your favorite aunt. And here's something you might not have known. Brittany Murphy, a future Hollywood darling, made an early guest appearance on this show. And despite its short life, Disney saw potential and revived the story into a spin-off called Almost Home. So where are they now? Well, Connie Ray, who played the Torkelson mom, she became a steady face on TV. A lot of guest spots and even wrote some musicals, proving her creativity knowing no bounds. Olivia Burnett, who played Dorothy Jane, she transitioned to guest roles on major shows like House and Dexter. Meanwhile, Brittany Murphy, of course, went on to become a beloved star in movies like Clueless and 8 Mile.
I'm looking for John Letourneau.
I can take you.
I don't think so, Smith.
Before her very tragic passing in 2009, leaving a legacy of unforgettable performances that was, of course, cut too short. And as for the Torkelsons, well, it remains a hidden gem, proving that sometimes the best stories and the best shows are the ones told from a creaky old house. Number 7, Alice.
No, Mel, there's one more thing.
What?
Kiss my grand!
The show Alice gave us Mel's diner, sass, and a working single mom trying to make ends meet. And who can forget Flo's immortal line, "Kiss my grits." Between Alice's struggles and the wacky diner shenanigans, this was small-town charm served up hot and fresh. The show didn't just entertain, it struck a chord with working women everywhere, showing the grit and grace it takes to juggle work, family, and dreams. And Mel's Diner wasn't just a setting, it felt like the kind of place you'd want to stop by for a slice of pie and a laugh. Polly Holiday, who played Flo to perfection, became such a standout that she earned her own spin-off show. And that famous line, well, it was completely ad-libbed. Polly just dropped it once, and the producer loved it so much that they turned it into the show's signature catchphrase. So what happened after the diner closed? Well, Linda Lavin, who played Alice, left an indelible mark on TV and also stage. She was nominated for Tony Awards and widespread acclaim for her Broadway performances. But sadly, she just passed away on December 29th, 2024, leaving behind a legacy of strength, talent, and resilience that I think she brought to every role but was so clear in Alice. She reminded us all that single moms were superheroes long before it was trendy to say so. Now, Polly Holiday continued to shine in movies like Gremlins and, of course, Mrs. Doubtfire. but her iconic flow remains a symbol of unapologetic sass. Vic Taybeck, who played the gruff but lovable diner boss Mel, remained a fan favorite until his passing in 1990. And while Mel's Diner may have closed its doors, its lessons of hard work, humor, and heart, well, they live on for seconds. Number 8. Coach. A sports dad for the ages, Hayden Fox was the coach you didn't know you needed. Sure, he barked orders and had a short temper, but underneath that gruff exterior was a guy who genuinely cared for his team, his family, and the quirky staff that worked with him. It was set in Minnesota, and Coach nailed that perfect mix of locker room laughs and heartfelt family moments, like a potluck where the jokes are as good as the casserole. One of the show's hidden gems was its clever mix of physical comedy and sharp dialogue, whether it was Luther tripping over his own feet or Hayden's sarcastic comebacks. But for all sports fans like me, the show's attention to the chaos of coaching, from last-minute plays to press conferences gone awry, it just felt hilariously spot on. The magic of Coach was in its relatability. It wasn't just about sports, it was about trying to balance career, family, and relationships, stuff that hits home for everyone, even if you couldn't tell a touchdown from a three-pointer. Hayden's interactions with his bumbling assistant Luther was the backbone of this comedy, plus his relationship with Christine, his sophisticated TV anchor girlfriend and later wife. Well, that gave the show an emotional core that went far beyond game day antics. Behind the scenes, Craig T. Nelson almost passed on the role because he thought Hayden Fox was too stereotypical. But when he reconsidered, he leaned fully into the gruff but lovable archetype, and he made Hayden an icon. And those game day stadium scenes, well, they weren't just Hollywood magic. The crew filmed many of them during real college football games, with tons of fans unknowingly providing the perfect backdrop. Let's be honest, Minnesota Pride never looked so good on TV. And did you know Jerry Van Dyke's character Luther was inspired by real-life assistant coaches who couldn't quite leave the past behind? Seriously, Coach is a charming show, so if you've never seen it, or you haven't watched it in a long time, please give it a rewatch. It's fantastic. So where are they now? Well, Craig T. Nelson, already a veteran actor when Coach started, went on to become the voice of Mr. Incredible in Pixar's The Incredibles. I think cementing his place as Hollywood's ultimate dad figure. But Coach still remains one of his most beloved roles, and he still gets recognized for it today, even getting playful shouts of "Hey Coach" from fans at airports. Jerry Van Dyke, who was Luther, who was once hesitant to take a role that would always cast him as the goofy guy, stayed in comedy until he passed away in 2018. The guy was a legend. His timing and humor made him one of TV's most underrated scene stealers. And he once joked that Luther was the best bad idea of his entire career. Number 9. Newhart. Bob Newhart as a deadpan Vermont innkeeper surrounded by the most delightfully bizarre cast of locals. Yeah, that sounds like comedy perfection. With his trademark dry humor, Newhart's character Dick Loudon became the calm eye in the middle of a storm of chaos. The show centered on a sleepy New England town full of lovable weirdos, like Larry and his brothers Daryl and Daryl.
I'm Larry, this is my brother Daryl, and this is my other brother Daryl.
Whose antics could even make a poker-faced Bob crack up. It was a sitcom comfort food at its finest. It was quirky, it was smart, and just wholesome enough to warm your heart. Newhart just worked because it was a perfect marriage of opposites. Bob's character, a sensible, sophisticated New Yorker, moved to Vermont to run an inn, only to be surrounded by residents who seemed to have escaped from a farcical fever dream. The inn itself, cozy and rustic, served as a perfect metaphor for small-town charm, while the quirky townsfolk provided a steady stream of hilarity. I mean, who didn't love watching Dick's patience being tested by his hilariously unqualified maid, Stephanie, played by Julia Duffy, or the handyman George, whose optimism often defied logic. Fun fact, the writers never intended for the brothers to remain silent, Daryl and Daryl. It just sorta happened organically as their roles developed, and it just turned into comedy gold. And yes, we have to talk about that now legendary series finale. And I think the boldest move in TV history, the final scene revealed that the entire 8-season run of Newhart was a dream. The twist was Bob's character wakes up next to Suzanne's character, reprising her role as his wife from the Bob Newhart show.
Honey, wake up. You won't believe the dream I just had.
It was just a massive gotcha moment that stunned audiences, almost like a big callback. The twist was so clever that it's still celebrated as one of the greatest finales in TV history. So what happened after Newhart? Well, Bob Newhart remained a comedy legend. He popped up in a lot of guest spots on TV shows like The Big Bang Theory, and he performed stand-up well into his 90s. But Bob Newhart sadly passed away in July of 2024 at the age of 94. And no, this is no dream. Now, Julia Duffy, who played Stephanie, became a staple of TV comedies throughout the 1980s and 90s. And what about Larry and his two Daryls? Well, William Sanderson, Larry, found success in dramatic roles on shows like Deadwood and True Blood, proving that he's got more than just comedy chops. And the two Daryls, played by Tony Pappenfuss and John Volstad, remained cult figures for their silent but hilarious performances. The two still appear at fan conventions, keeping the magic of Newhart alive for diehard fans. Newhart wasn't just a sitcom, it was a masterclass in absurdity and subtle humor. The show managed to capture the cozy charm of small-town life while embracing the surreal, with its legendary finale and unforgettable characters. Number 10, Step by Step. If you were a 90s kid or had a teenager in the 90s, you knew Step by Step. It was like the modern day Brady Bunch.
What would you like to drink? Orange juice or hello?
A blended family of 8 living in Wisconsin with all the chaos and charm you'd expect. Between Frank, the gruff but lovable dad, Carol, Suzanne Summers in full mom mode, and Cody, the goofy cousin, it really was pure TGIF magic. What made Step by Step such a hit was its perfect mix of family dynamics, kind of like a family-sized pizza with all your favorite toppings. From the big sibling rivalries to the lovable antics of the extended family, it felt like every household had its own Cody or JT.
Oh, now you're the Dana Burger with cheese.
The show was chaotic, it was hilarious, and it was heartwarming, all in one. A little fun tidbit, the roller coaster you see in the opening credits wasn't in Wisconsin at all. It was filmed at Six Flags Magic Mountain in California, of course. Yep, Hollywood trickery at its finest. And Suzanne Summers took the role specifically to show a softer, maternal side after playing Chrissy Snow on Three's Company. So what did they get into after the ride? Well, Patrick Duffy, Frank, returned to his soap opera roots with The Bold and the Beautiful, where he's proven that the gruff but caring dad still has some serious staying power. You can still catch him from anything from daytime dramas to Dallas reboots. His career keeps on rolling. Suzanne Summers became a fitness and wellness mogul with her Thigh Master empire and has become an enduring symbol of self-care and positivity. Sadly, however, Suzanne passed away in 2023 at the age of 76. Now, Sasha Mitchell, who played Cody, had some bumps in the road but remains a cult favorite for his very goofy but very lovable role. From his martial arts background to his wild adventures post Step by Step, Cody's legacy still lives on. Righteous dude. We will always remember him as the lovable, awkward cousin who never quite got the point, but still stole our hearts. And while the Step by Step family may have grown up, the show's ability to remind us about the importance of family, laughter, and roller coasters will forever be in our hearts. Number 11, The Waltons. Few shows embodied wholesome family values and resilience quite like The Waltons, set during the Great Depression and World War II in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. The show followed the lives of the Walton family, a close-knit clan navigating tough times with love, humor, and a relentless commitment to one another. And audiences, well, they fell in love with the Waltons' unshakable bond and the heartfelt lessons they shared. From John Boy's aspirations of becoming a writer to the family's constant struggle to make ends meet. Part of what made the Waltons so relatable was its authenticity. The show wasn't just feel-good fluff. It reflected the struggles of real families during one of the most challenging periods in American history.
Don't be afraid, honey. It's all right.
Whether it was John Sr., played by Ralph Waite, working tirelessly to keep food on the table, or the mom Olivia holding the family together with her quiet strength, every character just felt real and deeply human. And then there was Grandma Walton, played by Ellen Corby, who could drop wisdom and sass in equal measure.
Times have changed. It just proves that men's foolishness hasn't.
That iconic Goodnight John Boy scene that closed out many episodes became a cultural touchstone. Originally, it was improvised during the pilot, but it resonated so much with the audiences that it did become a tradition. That simple, heartfelt exchange between family members at the end of each day, it captured the essence of the show: love, gratitude, and the importance of family. But did you know The Waltons was based on a true story? Creator Earl Hamner Jr. drew inspiration from his own childhood in rural Virginia. John Boy, the aspiring writer, was essentially Hamner's younger self. The personal connection gave the show a unique level of depth and authenticity. The show also had its share of drama behind the scenes. Ellen Corby, Grandma Walton, suffered a stroke during production but insisted on returning to the show. Despite her limited mobility, her determination was a testament to her real-life strength. Meanwhile, Michael Learned, Olivia Walton, almost didn't land the role because producers initially thought she was too glamorous to play a Depression-era matriarch. But Learned proved them wrong, delivering a performance that earned her multiple Emmy Awards. And Ralph Waite, who played the family patriarch, had his own struggles. He was a recovering alcoholic, and he credits this role on the Waltons with helping him find stability and purpose, and quitting the booze. His on-screen wife, Michael Learned, actually helped and also quit drinking too. Ralph's on-screen warmth wasn't just acting. Waite became a father figure to many of the younger cast members, mentoring them both on and off the set. So where are they today? Well, Richard Thomas, who brought John Boy to life with wide-eyed earnestness. Boy, he went on to have a long and successful career in film, TV, theater, you name it.
You're gonna be sad. Or you're gonna be happy.
You might have seen him in The Americans or Ozark, proving that his talent has only deepened with time. Michael Learned continued to shine on TV, earning acclaim for her roles in dramas and soaps. Ralph Waite remained a beloved figure in Hollywood, appearing in shows like NCIS and Days of Our Lives until he passed in 2014. Ellen Corby, after her remarkable return to the show post-stroke, passed away in 1999, leaving behind a legacy of grit and grace. Honestly, the legacy of the Waltons endures, not just as a nostalgic favorite, but as a timeless reminder of the strength of family, the power of perseverance, and the beauty of simple things.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night.
Good night, Jimbo.
Number 12, Grizzly Adams. Grizzly Adams was the ultimate outdoorsman fantasy, a gentle giant of a man living in the wilderness with his best friend, a bear named Ben.
All right. Come on, Ben. Like a little more? It's good, isn't it? Huh? Come on.
For anyone who ever dreamed of leaving society behind and living off the land, this show was just pure wish fulfillment. But it wasn't just about one man and his bear. It was about a rugged man finding peace in the most chaotic place of all, nature. Whether it was chopping wood, befriending mountain folk, or just sitting in the forest with Ben, Grizzly Adams gave us a glimpse into the kind of slow, thoughtful life that many of us only dreamed of, far away from modern chaos. Dan Haggerty's calm, soulful performance felt as natural as the trees around him. Dan, who played Adams, wasn't just acting, he was a real-life animal trainer. His connection with Ben the bear was completely genuine, and much of their on-screen interactions were unscripted because of their bond, and also it's hard to write for a bear. So what happened after he left the wilderness? Well, Dan Haggerty continued his wilderness-themed acting career. and he remained a beloved figure until his passing in 2016. Dan's rugged, kind-hearted persona left an indelible mark on TV history, and his legacy as both a performer and an animal lover, it lives on. Despite his success, Haggerty didn't just play a protector of the wilderness, he was one in real life. Of course, known for his deep affection for animals, he spent much of his time working with various wildlife organizations. His life was as adventurous as his characters, and it's safe to say that Dan Haggerty will forever be remembered as the man who lived the dream with a bear by his side. Number 13, Hee Haw Honeys. So Hee Haw Honeys was of course the spinoff of Hee Haw that brought the same hokey humor, country charm, and sing-along moments that made the original show a hit. It blended skits and sitcom plots with musical performances from rising and established country music stars. Basically, it's a love letter to fans of both country and comedy.
If I lay one egg in this hand and one egg in this hand, how many eggs will I have?
None, teacher. You can't lay eggs.
What set Hee Haw Honeys apart was its ability to mix good-natured jokes with some of the best country music at the time. Picture this, a show where the punchlines land just as well as the harmonies, with a side of good old Southern hospitality and those classic overalls. Whether it was a cowgirl's joke or a toe-tapping tune, it was a hoedown of laughs and hits. While Hee Haw Honeys only lasted one season, it gave the country music industry a playful platform during its rise in popularity. And for fans who love corny jokes, banjos, and a lot of plaid, it's still worth revisiting today.
Guys, hey, that wind's really something, ain't it?
Yeah, it blows so hard it blowed the gophers out of the ground.
So where are they now? Well, the Hee Haw legacy lives on as a cultural icon for country music and comedy fans alike. Though Hee Haw Honeys didn't last long, the fun spirit of the show lives on in the hearts of country fans everywhere. Many of the stars, from the Honeys to the musical guests, have continued their careers in entertainment. Some even returned to Hee Haw itself, proving that, like country music, good humor just never goes out of style. Number 14, Designing Women. Okay, technically set in Georgia, Designing Women hit a note with Midwestern and Southern audiences alike. With 4 fierce women running a design firm, it had sass, wit, and a whole lot of heart. It was progressive, but it never lost its down-home charm. What made Designing Women so great wasn't just the designs they put on display, but the way these women designed their own lives with power and humor.
I maintain that if they're old enough to order furniture, they're old enough to pay for it.
From the sharp-tongued Julia, the glamorous Suzanne, it was like a masterclass in delivering both sharp one-liners and heartfelt moments. The Southern hospitality mixed with feminism, it made this show way ahead of its time, offering wit with a healthy dose of soul. Dixie Carter, who played Julia, was nothing like her firecracker character in real life. She hated confrontation, but when the writers handed her a fiery monologue, she'd agree to perform it, if she could sing a song later in the episode as a trade-off. Yeah, that's what we call compromise, Southern style. So where are they now? Well, Dixie Carter continued acting until she passed away in 2010. Her portrayal of Julia remains iconic in TV history. Delta Burke, Suzanne, struggled with Hollywood pressures but became an advocate for body positivity, showing that real beauty comes in all sizes and shapes. She used her platform to challenge traditional beauty standards and empower others, proving her true strength went far beyond the screen.
Alimony, Reese owes you after all you gave me the finest hours of your life.
And Annie Potts, Mary Jo, well, she just stayed active in TV, most recently in Young Sheldon, proving that once you're a beloved part of TV history, you never really leave the small screen, whether it's playing quirky characters or grounding the chaos. Number 15, Home Improvement. Oh, Home Improvement, the king of Midwestern dad humor.
Together they form the mealtime triad of power.
Tim the Toolman Taylor, Tim Allen, just grunted his way through DIY disasters and family life and a lot of flannels. It was the ultimate 90s sitcom for dads who couldn't fix anything, but they tried anyway. Whether Tim was blowing up his garage or misplacing his tools, there was always a lesson to be learned, albeit through a cloud of sawdust. And let's not forget the wise words of Wilson, who for most of the show was just a set of eyes and wise advice peeking over the fence.
See, Tim, men's relationships are based on status and power.
Here's the part you might not know. Tim Allen's on-screen persona was loosely inspired by his real-life stand-up comedy. He had perfected the manly man shtick on stage before turning it into one of TV's most iconic roles. Plus, Wilson, the wise neighbor whose face was always hidden, well, the idea came from Tim Allen's childhood neighbor, whom he could just never really see over the fence.
What are you making over there?
Building a porcupine trap.
So where are they now? Well, Tim Allen became a massive star. He voiced Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story and starred in Last Man Standing, proving that he's still the king of comedy, one grunted catchphrase at a time. His transition from tool time to space time was one for the ages. Patricia Richardson, who was fantastic as Jill, continued acting but stepped back a bit to focus on family, proving that she knew when to turn it off and take care of what mattered most. Her role as Tim's loving yet frustrated wife remains one of TV's most relatable characters of all time. Jonathan Taylor Thomas, JTT, was a 90s teen heartthrob before largely stepping away from Hollywood.
I filled my box up to the top.
Thank you, Randy. It's nice to know I have one perfect child.
While he's kept a pretty low profile, fans still remember him so fondly as the clever son who often had the best one-liners, and boy, he was cute as a button. There they are, 15 forgotten sitcoms that are secretly just the best. So, which ones do you still watch today? Which ones should not be on this list because they're way too popular? And did we forget a TV show from the past that was charming or hilarious, but it just doesn't get any love nowadays? We'll get down in the comment section and add them so we can properly do a round 2. Thanks so much for watching. We really enjoyed putting this episode together for you. So if you enjoyed revisiting some favorites, hit that thumbs up icon to show us some support. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you never miss a memory. But most importantly, from all of us here at Do You Remember, thanks so much for watching, and that's it. Roll the credits.